streams around the world, the hundreds of dads, thousands of dads, millions of dads,
Millions
all looking.
and sleeping children, right? Well, at least
They better.
mine are not sleeping, but
That's like you're playing it so risky. Is there the pre-show talk? It's like, listen, Dad's got an audience to speak to. Don't interrupt.
you know what I always wanted. Yes, there is, but you know what I always want to do. You remember Full House, where I think
Right.
Dave Coulier was in the basement and he had the red light for the recording.
Right? Yeah.
We flipped that on. I'm like, we need to get a light,
Oh, that'd be so great.
right? On air, we're recording, big show.
Adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
My name is Trevor, and I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
All right, so we put up a tweet last week as part of the show. We had reached out and said, did you have annual games? We got some really great requests because, Jeff, it was your yearly tradition, which I was really enthused to hear about, which was Metroid on SNES, right?
Yep. Super Metroid. Always an annual playthrough with the kids.
So that was amazing. We got some really great responses from the community, so I want to read some out for the games that you play at least once a year. So Games with Coffee at Games with Coffee replies with several. Zelda 2, that one's interesting.
That one is an interesting one, yes.
I'd almost imagine Ocarina of Time or, Wind Waker something. You can imagine some of the more common ones, but Zelda 2 you don't hear as often. So Zelda 2, Super Metroid, right along there with you, Sonic 2, and Final Fantasy 7.
Another good one.
That's a commitment. You go
Yeah,
through
that
that
is.
entire... So that's amazing. That is an awesome goal. And then we have Retro GIF Monster. That's at Retro GIF Monster. I run through ActRaiser and Super Castlevania 4 on SNES at least once a year each. The Castlevania playthrough is usually around Halloween.
That's interesting. That's awesome to do it with the season or the timing. I never thought of that.
Yeah, the best part would be if that's what you're doing at the front door as people are coming up getting candy. And you're just a dad with like the full scale candy bars while playing Castlevania. That'd be pretty sick. Giving the kids a 1 minute. Oh, what's that?
Hold on. I gotta get to the same point here. Hold on.
Okay, the Do Dongo Dislikes, another gaming podcast, replies with Skyrim, and Duct Tape at Duct Tape Plays responds with Earthbound. Gotta play it once per year. Love it to bits. Again, the RPGs are surprising because that is a commitment. Some of those like longer ones, Final Fantasy 7, Earthbound, Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim, that's like a 40 to 60 hour commitment every year.
I mean, does it count if I annually replay it but never finish it? Because I never. I always start a new game or a continuous save and I've never completed that game ever.
Oh, well, that's this year's resolution. This is going to be great.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, okay.
All right, so everybody, thank you so much for writing in. As we say, like interacting on Twitter is one of our favorite new pastimes with the podcast. So reach out, come chat with some other fellow gaming dads at New Dad Gaming on Twitter. So what I'm hoping for, Jeff, is a bit of hope.
Okay.
So for myself, for some other gaming dads right in the throes of it, we're a day late recording this podcast because I passed out. I think it was like 9 at night. Like the kids had gone to bed and my wife and I just flopped. Woke up the next day at like 8 in the morning, dazed and confused what the heck had happened. Just destroyed. And I do find at this current juncture, I mean, as I mentioned, I have a 5 and a 7-year-old, so they're not babies by any stretch, but weekends are very much all hands on deck still. Between we're doing a bunch of stuff to the house and chores and just kind of taking care of some business, and then playing with the kids, taking them out to adventures, sports, or whatever else like that. I do, at this current juncture, I have no time during the day to, let's say, play a game for myself, read, watch a movie, whatever you would like. Most importantly, playing games, of course. That is chagrin to this show. Unless it's after they go to bed. And that's the old classic gaming dad tale of, okay, how badly do I want to play this game versus how tired I'm definitely going to be tomorrow.
Yes.
Because it's oh no, it's almost midnight. Kids still get up real early. I'm going to be exhausted. So it's kind of like it made me think of you because you had posted some screens of some awesome looking titles you're getting into. Are you currently, with your current family situation where the kids are at, you have the older ones than I do. Do you have time on the weekends? You find like a couple hours to play a game or to do what you will?
Well, I am here from the future to tell you that it does get better.
Yes. Yes, thank God. Thank God.
There is hope for you yet, Trevor. You will get there. Yeah, like you said, 9 and 12, they're pretty much self-sustaining. They ask me once in a while to play a game with them, or, the standard stuff, go outside and play, or, take them to the park. We still do that stuff. But for the most part, they're off on their own, creating, building in a game, online with friends, and I get the free time to do what I want. So it does get better, especially around that age. So I know, a little bit younger, you're still kind of entertaining them and guiding them in that way, but they get that little freedom later on.
I'll say that like I'm really cherishing it, and I mean like specifically, like I really look at it as these moments are precious. There will be a time when they do not want to hang out. They're going to want to go with hey son, you want to play a game? Oh, I'm going to go with my friend instead. And then the arrow descends from heaven, just like stabs me in the heart with the greatest pain I've ever imagined. So I don't take it for granted, and I'm doing the best I can to appreciate all those possible moments. Absolutely. Yeah. However, you do find yourself sometimes like, if I could just have like a 2-hour stretch at some point during the afternoon when I'm not fighting exhaustion towards the end, it would be amazing. And it sounds like that is a potential in my future.
Yeah, you definitely get some of me time, right? Like what you want to do, what you want to relax with, whether it be a game or a movie or a book. And you get a couple hours to yourself, and then you're still checking in on them to make sure, like, hey, so here's the switch that happens, right? When they're younger and they're quiet, you're like, oh God, are they alive? Right? And you're like running all around to make sure that they're alive.
Too quiet.
Exactly. Your kind of phase, they're in your face, they're high balls of energy, bouncing off walls and stuff. Now they've settled down at 9 and 12, but again, silent. What are you doing? I haven't heard from you in a bit. We need lunch. We need to feed you. You need to come down. I need to make sure that, life check, everything's cool. It's again, we're back into that system.
Okay. Gut check. Everybody's alive. Everybody's healthy.
Yes.
Nobody's doing anything illegal.
Right.
Or illegal-ish. Like
right. Illegal-ish. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yes.
Like I downloaded a ROM, Dad. You're like,
gray area, son. We live in Canada, so
don't. If I didn't hear it, it's not illegal.
La, 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 la. Just don't distribute them.
Don't distribute. We own that copy on SNES original. We're fine. We're good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's check Dad's gaming library here.
Yeah. And I was, I think it was on a Reddit thread, and I may have even commented against it because it is one of my longest standing pet peeves with other parents, where it's the garbage sentence. It never gets easy.
Right.
And it's like, man, shut up. It gets so much easier. Like I think what they're almost worried when somebody says that, it's almost reflexive. Like, oh, well, I'm still a parent and my job's not easy. I'm not saying your job is easy. Right. But would you like to transfer what you have now with your older kid with a newborn? You don't. There's no way you do. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and like as a parent, you're always going to, is it like about worrying? Like you're always going to worry, like if they're, excelling at what they're doing, if you're, being successful as a parent, guiding them properly, you're always going to worry, but it gets easier.
Yeah.
And now I've been told that teenagers, they get harder again. So maybe I'm just in this kind of sweet spot until it all comes crashing down.
2 years from now, it's like, Trevor, don't let them grow. It's a trap. It gets worse. Nah, but I just tend, I find that to be so discouraging when, because I remember being in those, like the absolute worst throes of infancy with kids, and it's just, you feel like the world's against you, and then you got these other parents who are like, oh, it never gets easy. Like, oh no,
turn it in now.
My life is like this. So I just wanted to check in. Like I said, envy in some ways some of the freedoms you have, and it's good to know that I will arrive there one day.
One day. Let me know what games you want to complete. I'll complete them for you. Send them
Oh,
screenshots.
thank you so much. You can use your sweet Steam Deck. It'll be
That's right. Yeah.
Now, speaking of completing games, the recent thing that we've come up with in our house is a kind of we reinvigorated Minecraft in a way.
Oh, wow.
Where it's been a constant. It's by far has the greatest staying power of any game in the household, which is also awesome. You know, I really like that this is the game that they really respond to because it is creative, it's interesting. Like there's so much. It's digital Legos to the nth degree. We talked about ad nauseum on the show. Anyways, it continues to have staying power, but me playing with them has tended to get a bit boring and creative. Like there's still the majesty of arriving in a world that I haven't seen of theirs yet.
Yes.
And you're just like walking through. It's as if you've gone into your kid's dream world and you're just trying to make sense of any of them. It's like, all right, so we have a roller coaster that goes up to the sky and there's an octopus and they're raining down lava into this bucket and this bucket goes into just you're trying to possibly like how did this story all come together? It's cool.
Big statues of you, right? Like statues of Dad everywhere, right? Out of gold.
No, it's always they had some Among Us characters. They had the Rainbow Friends. I've never seen a dad statue, sadly. Okay. So we'll put that on the to-do list. But anyways, ultimately I play with them and it starts to grade a little bit, starts to get a little bit boring. What is cool though is we just embarked on a recent campaign where it's like, okay, just survival. No more creative. Like we're going to start a new world and we're just going to survive. You know, it's been great. Like actual Minecraft, the game turns out to be very interesting and cool to play. It's like, okay, first like night, we need shelter, dirt shack. Let's go. We don't want to die.
This is it's real life, kids. This is a real world. We need to tough it out. We need shelter. We need firewood. We need.
We all had tasks. Like I was like my kid sent me down to the mine to bring him a bunch of stuff to like smelt and craft. So he was like, so the one was hunting for food. I was down in the mines. Kid was in the middle, crafting it all together to build it. But what I liked about that is that he was kind of taking charge and like organizing and delegating.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, I can play that. That's fine. We can roll with that.
Yeah, leadership qualities. Already telling you what to do.
So that's been interesting. So again, like I think for dads listening, if you started to dip into Minecraft, it's amazing to play with your kids. It's by far one of the best games for kids from a creative standpoint, from a educational standpoint, but also something that's fun. If you have been playing with them for a while and interest has started to wane, consider getting into an actual just like strict, okay, no cheats, no mods, no creative mode. This is like we're going to survive. We're going to see if we can actually make it happen. Did you play? Have you ever like beaten Minecraft? Did you ever like do a longer survival session with your kids?
Myself, no, I have never beaten it. My kids have beaten it multiple times. They think it's like
on survival.
Yeah, and they could do it in their sleep. Like it's back of their hand. They know exactly what to do and where to go and into the nether and nether dragons or whatever else is the final boss or considered the final boss. I have never seen those things. The only thing I've seen is the nether portal, and then I immediately died, and then that was that. And I don't know. But it's kind of funny how they can just navigate this game both creatively and survive in the survival mode. Like nothing. It's like this will be an all-time favorite for them while they reflect back and be like, oh yeah, remember the days of Minecraft? And it'll probably still exist in 20, 30 years, in some other form. But yeah, it's interesting to see. And I'm glad that you're on survival. It puts a little pressure on and see how nerves can somehow factor into the gameplay. Son, you left the door open again, like in life, and now there's a creeper in her.
Well, kids, if you don't eat a square, like 3 square meals a day, you're not going to grow. You see,
that's right.
You can't just eat zombie flesh because you want to. You have to stick to chicken and vegetables. It's just like that's how life works. Son.
Yeah.
You got to clean out the driveway. You got to make your bed. All transferable skills, I'm sure.
That's right. Exactly. I learned this from Minecraft, Dad.
So hey, if any gaming dads listening, if there's a particular mode were able to play that was really great for yourself and your kids, if there's a game that you rekindled an interest in because you found a different mode or a way to approach it with your kids, let us know. Write us at newdadgaming.com or at newdadgaming. Now, one might get lost in the world of Minecraft, and one would hope that they would show up in the Lost and Found, which seems to segue into a situation you and your kids found yourself in this week, Jeff.
Yeah, so when items go missing, it's usually somewhat stressful on the entire family unit. My 12-year-old has like a hand-me-down phone, right? So it used to be my phone, and it's, an older iPhone. It's not hooked up to cell signal. He can use Wi-Fi on it and play some games or whatever. But they were staying at a friend's house for the day, picked them up later after supper, and thought everything was with them, but they didn't have their phone. So they went back, spent some time, hours, trying to find it. Yeah, they could not find it for the life of them. The family couldn't find it. They couldn't find it. They had gone sledding that day, so we were asking questions like, did you take it out sledding? It's not waterproof. There's no signal on it, so I can't find it anywhere. It's like pulling teeth, Trevor. It's like you're trying to figure out what's truth and what's not. Be like, listen, I just need the truth. If you took it outside, then we'll go check the hill. Yeah. You're not going to get in trouble. We just need to know where it is.
It's like, look, you are in trouble for this situation.
It's already happened.
You're not going to get more in trouble by telling the truth. And in fact, if we find it, maybe it's less trouble. So come on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So it was kind of an awkward situation because, again, it's at a friend's house. So if it's in our own house, we can search top to bottom and have them kind of spend the day going through, rifling through whatever here. But they're literally in somebody else's house pulling off cushions, right? So it's like, we're apologizing to them like, oh, so sorry this happened, and we don't want to put it on them, right? So we called it a break. But with that, we're like, well, that's a pretty expensive device still, and it's a pretty hefty piece of technology, and the consequence is, like, until you find it, there's no screen time.
Wow.
Which was
good pull.
It was a difficult one to lay down because they are kind of like their arms are tied for a little bit, right? Like they obviously can't spend every waking moment at this friend's house trying to find it. So they had to have, those breaks in between when they're at home doing other things and, trying to come to grips with, I've lost this thing. This is the consequence. So I have to deal with it, right? So that was a whole big conversation. And I'm not saying it went smoothly. There were some tears.
Right, of course.
But eventually the happy ending is that they did eventually find it.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's a great ending.
We'll note that this particular friend's house, the couch has couch pockets in the back, which ours do not, and I didn't know that they had, but that's where they found it. If you lose something, check the couch pockets, not couch the cushions, pockets. just the pockets.
Like, as in like on the outside, like jeans, but on the back of the couch, or like between? Okay.
Yeah, it's on the back.
Was your kid sitting on top of the couch and then fell behind? Like, how is this?
Again, this is where, like, okay.
Stop asking questions, Trevor.
No, if you found it in, like, your shoe at the house or something, I don't care. I just want the truth of where you found it so that next time we could just ask you that straight up. Like, that is the first place you check. Don't make up this roundabout story. But we checked in with the parents, and yeah, they have these pockets on the backside of their couch, which just seems to me like my kids would store a whole bunch of treats there and all sorts of other things. That seems like a bad idea.
That'd be a filth house, man.
So extra controllers for the every system, like that's perfect.
Like, look, again, like I'm super pleased this has happened. but wouldn't that be one of the first places you look? Like, so I think I lost it in the hold on. So I think I lost it in the couch, and when we searched the couch, oh no, I forgot about the couch. The couch pockets. Unbelievable. What are you talking about? That'd be the first place I look.
Yeah, the parents didn't even know that they had couch pockets.
Oh, they didn't. Okay.
They didn't know. So they couldn't.
Fascinating.
They didn't, so my child informed them on
hey, you got
this
pockets
couch
in
they
your couch. It's like, what?
Yeah. So it was a really weird conversation in a couple days for having them trying, and we didn't want to bug them. So we dropped off donuts and coffee and stuff just to kind of smooth things over. Because, we impose on them to, my kid was over there all day. And then second, third days after trying to search for what they should have had with them all the time.
Yeah.
So it's one of those weird
things. Sounds like it's an interesting tack. Again, like wonderful. That's a happy ending, and the laying down the responsibility on them and the consequences that this is a serious breach that you've lost this thing. Like whether it was a laptop or a tablet or it was a phone, like just when you were, or like heaven forbid, like a Switch or something like that, right? About the same cost of a phone. It's when you're entrusted with these devices, like it needs to really be. I almost find, like, what I find interesting too is that the currently things seem to be much more plentiful. Like I don't know about yourself, but like the number of toys my kids have had in their life like vastly outweighs the number that I ever had. And that's not so much because I'm so much better off than my parents or some nonsense like that. It's just because between used stores and any number of things, like it seems like it's almost there's a lot of conflicting things I'm trying to get through. These days it seems almost more materialistic, the amount of stuff that enters our homes, that enters our lives.
Yeah.
Right. The purchasing of goods, the amount of goods that enter the house and come out of the house. Like there's just a lot more stuff, if that's a fair way to put it. Right.
Yeah.
So, but along with that, and I even know sometimes with my kids, like, oh, we can just get another one. Oh, we could just buy more. Or why don't we go to the store and get another one? And it's like, no, like you have this one. Like this is like precious that you have like this thing. This thing is great. You should be very happy for this thing.
Yes.
Right? So you can almost see where it'd be, oh, well, you can just get me a new phone. And it's like, no. Like this is like, that was entrusted upon you. That's a great gift. That's it's amazing. You're so fortunate that you have anything, given how so many go without. And then that you would take that and lose it is a fairly massive jump and a breach of, this privilege.
Yeah, and it was, you could see my 12-year-old's mind kind of ticking through like, oh, well, if it was hooked up to cell signal, then you could just call it.
Wow.
And we can find it and call. But they didn't go that far, right?
Okay. He was thinking it though. He was thinking
you could see the wheels turning like, oh, this would have been solved if you did something and paid extra. But I agree with you, and like there's a lot of extra stuff that moves through, and mainly because they can use the tools and things and devices that we have used, right? I don't think my parents ever gave me hand me down computers. Like they never, like that wasn't a thing unless it was like a lawnmower. What do I want a lawnmower for, right? But like, which I did get in college. But it was all those devices again can be pushed to your kids, and then maybe it's that secondhand feeling, right? Like because I can see that happening. Well, being a firstborn, I never had the second hand-me-down thing, so I don't know about you probably have a better experience with that. But was it worth more to you or less, or like again the value was the same and you had to take care of it? Again, it was this whole conversation we had with the 12-year-old. So
yeah, that is interesting. We would be about the first generation that would be so device focused, so secondhand gaming systems, secondhand phones, secondhand computers, secondhand tablets. Because like when my parents bought a computer when I was young, that was like the first computer and the only computer that ever entered the household.
Right.
So it wasn't like my dad was using laptops for work and then he's like, oh, here, I upgraded. How about you have this one?
Yeah.
So if in many ways it's actually a new thing that we're embarking on, given our age and this current age bracket where it's going to be hand-me-down devices. Here's my old PS5, son. It treated me well.
Here's my old VR headset.
That's even better. If you get a PSVR 2, you can hand down the old janky PSVR 1.
That's right. And then knowing my kids will be like, well, this isn't as good as the one you got. What do we want this for?
Dad, I lost the PSVR 1 headset at my friend's house. It has 20 cables. You could just follow any of those cables and you'd find it. How is this possible?
Oh, it would be worse because it'd be like, well, I lost this one cable and then it's proprietary and you can't find a backup. You're like, well, then it's garbage. That's it.
You've done it. It's going to be in the garage sale now. Congratulations. Man, yeah, it's going to be an entire thing of making sure to wipe your devices before you give it to them, make sure it
Yes.
actually works. I'm sure the complaint that somebody will have a PS7 and you've only handed them like a PS5.
Already getting that. Yep. With the iPhones. Yes.
So that's an entirely new wave. We're gonna have to like kind of ride that and see where we land.
We are pioneers. Look at us pioneering the new wave, the new tech wave.
Tech wave. And heading off for the week. Speaking of tech waves, it might be a cautious tale for everybody listening, and I'm sure like you feel some vindication in some ways. But I had a bit of a cloud Xbox situation happen in the household.
Oh no!
Where apropos of nothing, unless my child is lying.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Well.
And bless his heart, I don't think he is, but he very well could be. But all of the accounts got completely wiped off of the Xbox.
Oh, wow.
Nobody...
We went from losing devices to losing complete accounts. Like, that's it.
The good news, so the accounts existed. So it wasn't like they deleted the accounts or deleted the subscriptions or anything. But when you went to Xbox, it's just like, all right, who are you?
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
And the challenge is that, okay, fine. I have my login information. I know myself. But I had them both signed up. And they both have emails.
Okay.
And the funnest part is that I have two-factor authentication for all three accounts. So it's like, okay, let's log into my account. What's my email? What's my password? Oh, geez, so I have to go through my password manager. To get into my password manager, I need two-factor authentication. So it's like, all right, well, what's this? Then I get sent a text and I have to go back. Here's my password. Log in. They're like, okay, Xbox, welcome. Two-factor. I'm like, son of a, okay. Going through. And finally, I log into my account. I had to do this like 3 times in a row. And by the end of it, I'm talking like between misspellings, two-factor authentication, everything else. Like I must have had like 12 text messages sent to me to get it, and like 4 like wrong passwords. Like it was just an absolute gong show. It was so. I was pulling my hair, and I was the entire time I'm thinking about. At least, like for a living, I use computers. Yeah. And for me, this was horrifically difficult and annoying. And I could just imagine like the poor parent who doesn't work with computers or isn't like savvy with online accounts having to fight through this to get their kids logged on. Like, my Lord, it was awful. Yeah, just awful.
It's not easy. I will say I've never experienced the Xbox version, but logging my kids back into the Nintendo platform where they actually got rid of the one Nintendo account, like they merged it with something else because it was a different one for 3DS than it was for the Switch. I'm like, oh my God, what am I dealing with now? And they're both named like Nintendo or slightly different. Like one's a Nintendo ID and the other one's not. I'm like, can you just log me in and then I will ID my kids again?
I'll let them go through. There's got to be an easier way because even with, I can imagine that some kids probably didn't even have user IDs. It's just like, oh, user 6654444, whatever. Yeah. I don't want you to have a game and tag anyways. And then you have to enter that in manually, like a peon, just like typing stuff in.
Yep. Yeah.
Whoa. I'm not kidding you, Jeff. The entire time I'm doing it, I'm like, Jeff is somewhere laughing with his discs, with his like his old school discs and his like memory cards and just living far and away from the cloud, not having to deal with any of this garbage. So it was, and of course, both the kids are just sitting there behind me pestering.
Oh,
Can I play yet? Can I play yet? Can I play? It's like, Dad's authenticating with 2 factors.
This is perfect. That's like Dad working on the car or like the basketball net trying to put together and nothing's working, and you're like, well, can I play yet? Can I go yet? And you're like, I'm trying to authenticate.
Oh, Laura. So I had growing pain. Man, if I swear to God, I wish I had a camera so I could see if they deleted the accounts. Like they logged out and angry and just like deleted the accounts. Oh no, Dad, something's happened. All our accounts are gone. Please help.
They know exactly what they're doing. They're just like, and log out, and don't remember this username.
Yeah, I'll just delete. I'm going to delete you. Oh yeah, I'm going to delete you. Oh yeah, I'm going to delete Dad. Yeah. That'll show you. Don't. If you can avoid it, don't do it. But man, there's got to. I feel for parents, there's got to be a better way to manage accounts because that was so asinine and frustrating.
It just sounds like a nightmare.
Do better, everybody. Do better. On that note, we'll wrap it up there for the week. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you like the podcast, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks. We're talking Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Caster, anywhere where you get the podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. Those 3 words itself make up our domain, newdadgaming.com, as well as on Twitter @newdadgaming. As we mentioned, one of the greatest parts of the show recently has been interacting with all these other gaming dads. Do you have a story about how it gets better and how you're trying to impress upon other dads not to worry, to just push through and get it better? Have you discovered a new mode for a game with your kids, something like MineCraft, that rekindled your love of it? Do you have a lost and found story where your son or daughter has lost something precious given to them and you've had to lay down the rule of law? Love to hear this stuff. These type of stories really support each other, fellow gaming dads, so reach out to us. Again, newdadgaming.com or @newdadgaming. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have 3 verified Xbox accounts. Finally. A 7-year-old who probably did it, and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 12-year-old who found their iPhone, and a 9-year-old that is playing Innocent.
Who didn't see a damn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. Remember, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.